Dear Diary, it is December 3rd, I believe. 2nd or 3rd? What's it, Thursday? 3rd, yeah. I've been wanting to record and just haven't had an opportunity, being running around since my sister's back to full-time this week. I have to spend more time with my niece and nephew, which is fine, but just I feel I'm neglecting my wifely duties. I haven't cleaned my house like I wanted to. I want to do a deep cleaning since kiddo left. Haven't done that. I just quickly vacuumed yesterday, and besides that, I finally was able to get Christmas decorations out with hubby, but it's just been in my kind of living room area, and haven't really done anything. So tomorrow I'm hoping, but I do have like 2 trainings back to back or overlapping and all that stuff. So yeah, it's been busy, crazy busy. So I guess, things happens for a reason. It's probably good the kiddo went with relatives because I'm increasingly getting more and more busy. So that's one thing I want to mention. And another thing I want to mention is that yesterday, in one of my training class meeting, we were talking about how the holidays may look different for everybody. And of course, this class is mainly focused on foster parents taking care of foster kiddos and how foster kiddos trauma, and they would view holidays a little bit different than anyone else. And we were told to kind of think back of our fond memory of our childhood. And I made a discovery that I actually don't have very fond memories of me opening presents. And I was kind of like, it's not like we were lack of presents. It's not like my parents weren't able to buy things for me. I have to say I lived, a good childhood. In the sense that I was well provided for. My parents were not poor. They both worked. So in that aspect, I was well taken care of. But my childhood was different and I didn't have memories of opening presents. It's because we never really got what we wanted. So our dad wouldn't buy us what we wanted. Like, for example, we asked for a bicycle or whatever we wanted, we wouldn't get. And the reasoning behind that for my dad was like, we don't need it. It's not something that's a necessity. So we shouldn't ask for more than what they are willing to provide us. Yeah. So I believe part of my parents were frugal, because they seen their parents work really hard, and they work really hard, so they're pretty frugal. And also the fact that I think they're trying to tell us like value of things, and like we shouldn't just get everything we're asked for. So that's why I realized my fond memories of holidays was not of opening presents, which most kids would be. So I think in return has made me into this crazy Christmas lady. My sister tells me all the time, like, I crazy shop for Christmas, which I do. So now that, I take a moment to think about it, it's because of my past, of my, I know, granted, that's not a trauma, but if you have years of just adding together, no, you don't get what you want. And also led me to a brief, I don't know how brief it is. For me, I think it's brief, of my teen and early my teen years, and then in my 20s, I see other people giving their, niece and nephews, or other people giving their grandkids, like, just lavishly giving them presents. Granted, during that time, I live in a very affluent area, and people were pretty well off, so people would literally shower their loved ones with gifts, and I was just like, what? You don't need 20, 30 gifts? What that's just crazy. To now that I have my own niece and nephews and friends with kids, I just go cuckoo. Because I didn't feel like I got loved, showered with presents. So now in return, I want to do to them. So I just found that really interesting. Because I do want to note many of the things I'm learning about myself through all these courses, all these just talking to other people, all the things I'm hearing, I'm experiencing, I'm learning, especially like trauma, like learning about how trauma affects us. Never really before I have ever talked about experiencing trauma, and a little embarrassed to mention it. Granted, my trauma is not crazy one like some of the kids that I hear, and just tear my heart apart, like sexual abuse and other type of stuff like that, neglect and whatever, like, yeah. So, never really think about it, and then, the stigma, trauma, like the stigma, like you need a psychologist, stigma, you need some mental health professional to talk to. So I'm glad I'm approaching 40, not like tomorrow or next year, but I'm approaching 40, and I'm only starting to learn about these things, and I don't want to feel sad, but I'm actually feeling happy I'm learning these things. But also at the same time, I feel that if I would have learned a lot of these things earlier, I would have had more self-confidence. I've definitely pushed myself out of my comfort zones compared to 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. So I'm happy I'm doing that now, because even though it's 40, that's still not too late. But just thinking about what we could have known before, what I could have known before, what the practices I could have had, like, breathing techniques, all these coping skills, all these words are coming up, trigger words, triggers. So I was just telling hubby yesterday, like, look, like the show is talking about trauma, this and that. It's like, it's starting to come up more and more, and I'm excited because I want people to learn these things. Those people who doesn't think that dealing with trauma and having some mental health professional guide you to make you, have realizations could help you really help yourself to I can't even, and this is what's really bad, is it's hard for me to find the right words to describe what I'm talking about. Just yesterday I got my first review with my work, and one of the lowest marks was being able to express myself effectively, which I have absolutely no gripe over, because it's so true. I am now slowly pushing myself out the comfort zone. I can express myself, but just still picking and knowing the right words to use is still very hard for me. Because one, I'm scared. Like, if I say the wrong word, how are people going to look at me? How is it going to feel? Like, everybody's had really bad Freudian slip. Like, you've seen those, like, funny videos where the newscaster said, like, we're sex or something, really funny. Really out of context, but, and then it's funny. So that's always my worry. But also at the same time, I don't want to use the wrong word for people to think that, like, oh, like, what is that word? That's not really even mean what it means. So it's definitely been a journey. It's something I'm still trying to overcome and learn. So anyway, so I'm back to what I was talking about. I'm very excited, like, that these things are more apparent. These things are on TV and shows and talk shows, and it's starting to surface more and more. So the stigma is less and less. So people are more willing to talk about it. People are more willing to work on it. People are more willing to go, maybe that's something I should look at. So I think that way would help a lot of people, like me, for example, who never thought that I would need, a mental health professional to talk to or to learn about these things. And I sit there sometimes, I wonder, I know I shouldn't look back on things, but I'm like, if I never got into this fostering industry, never got into this job, this role, how much longer it would have taken me to get to where I am today. So I'm super grateful, super thankful, and at the same time, I'm very excited. Like, I really truly believe, learning, we learn something new every day, and we should learn something new every day. And it's super exciting because I'm the type of person, I don't like school. I don't like going to school. I don't read very much. I used to, but now I prefer to utilize my time elsewhere. So it's very exciting for me to learn new things. And especially things that's helpful for me, for my body, for my mind, and all of that. And maybe, who knows, just maybe I could come to some sort of, I don't want to call it enlightenment, but just understanding to a level where I will stop stressing out and I will stop putting myself in certain situations, or just not even situations, just that mindset. So that way I wouldn't freak myself out. I wouldn't basically give myself a panic attack and have high blood pressure problems and, stress out and have, basically my diabetes, my blood sugar is not, controlled because I'm constantly panicking and stressing out. So maybe that's a possibility. Yeah. Okay, I'm definitely rambling a lot. I'm just excited I can start recording in my car again. I decided during Black Friday to splurge on a $12 cell phone holder thing for the car. I had one, I was using one, but it was really raggedy, it's broken, the foam thing was broken, it was just breaking apart. So I finally decided to get that. So now I can record. I think it looks stable, and the fact that I can get horizontal and hold it, so it's perfect. I'm excited. I guess I'm just trying to look on the positive every day, trying to appreciate life, especially 2020. It's just been crazy, and I feel like we need a little positivity in our lives. And yes, we need to seek it. We need to take an effort to look for it and also find it within ourselves. So anyway, Jiggles Meow signing off.